What I was saying about the bank is the mentality is that we have the responsibility to pay because we signed the contract. Now, the bank, if we don't sign, we pay for insurance, for the loan insurance. Is that to help the consumer? No. That's to help the bank. So they're sure to get their money from the government anyway, no matter what happens. And then they're allowed to repossess our property, and they're allowed to resell it, making money twice. Okay? And then what happens? The bank go bankrupt. They are overextended. They're not making their money. Where did the money go? They get paid twice. Where did it go?
We pay them again.
Yeah. What happened? We bail them out.
So that's 3 times they got paid.
Right. We bail them out, and they're not responsible, but we little people are. I mean, don't you see something absolutely wrong with that? We are responsible because we have to pay. We signed the contract. But what about the employers that either cut your pay without any decency, or they just fire you because they're out of business or because their business is suffering, and you don't have a job and you cannot find another because the economy is bad? You're still responsible. Is the bank responsible for stealing? Where did the money go? Obviously went somewhere, but not where it was supposed to be. No, those are fine, and they can be bailed out, and they don't even have to repay the money to the government, which is our money because it's tax money. I mean, don't you see anything wrong with that? Just like what's wrong in medicine, and well, nobody's fighting back.
We just don't work hard enough. See, we drink too much. That's what that mining heiress in Australia said the other day. Says yeah, people should work harder and not party as much, and earn their money the old-fashioned way, like I did. Inherit it.
Right. She earned it, right? She knew it. And by the way, let me tell you something. There was at one point about 12, 15 years ago that the truck industry didn't have enough drivers, and somehow they were bringing in for a while from Australia. And I don't know how they could make that legal, but they worked on it, and they were bringing in Australia drivers. And then that ended up stopping. You know why? Because Australian drivers were drinking while they were driving, and they thought there was nothing wrong with that. And they ended up having horrible accidents. They were drinking. Oh, I can drive with drinking beer. So if anything, they have the drinking problem, not us. Okay, that's okay. We have, as I said, we have Julie as a guest. She was finally able to make it, and basically we want us to tell us.
We're about to hit a break, but go ahead. I mean.
We wanted to tell us what happened to her this week with the chat room control, Cointelpro problem, and everything. That's the reason for her to come in, because something happens to her, and she'll discuss it. Now we got this break.
Well, we're about to hit it here. In just a
because I don't want to start a sentence and then I get cut off.
But
Hi, Julia.
You got cut off earlier. I heard you get cut off.
I got cut off, and I finished the sentence, but I didn't know that. It happens, okay, because I cannot really hear loud enough when the break music comes on. And it's a problem that has always been here, and for some reason we cannot get rid of it, and so I get cut off.
But I just thought that it was really appropriate because it happened to be, I thought it was only one group, but Julie, you told me it happened in 2 parallel groups. One of them, I know the name was, I think, Cancer Alternatives and Natural Healing was the name of the Facebook group, and had 1,000 or so members.
Yes, a lot.
And you had written a blog article called "There's No Such Thing as an Alkaline Diet," and boy, they just they let you have it. They just jumped all over you, and eventually.
If you had any idea how many groups I have been kicked out of,
we have to. So we have ideas. So yeah,
it's so controlled. They're everywhere, but they're really easy to see.
If people bother to look.
Yeah, and as soon as you show up, as long as you don't go too far, and you're not really doing anything that they don't want people to know about.
We got the break.
Yeah.
You're going to have to repeat that when we come back. And of course, the too far is based on what they think is too far.
Yeah, they'll sit it. They'll observe you for a while, but you know when you go where you're not allowed to go, because they're there immediately, Johnny on the spot, and it's
Yeah.
where you're.
Yeah.
We're back on the Medical Conspiracy Show, and we were talking about the alkalinity psyop.
Well, yeah, and Julie's experience of this week when she expressed her opinion. So go ahead and fill everybody in on what has been going on.
You've seen all the alkaline psyop. You've seen the alkaline diet things. They're everywhere. Natural pushes, all of these things are. When you look at the natural health industry, and you see who controls it, and you look at the Ian Clarks and the David Wolfs, and you get on up when you get on up into the upper echelons of it is thoroughly and completely controlled by what people are referring to as the Zionist forces, the people that are in control of every part of the world. They control this, and they're pushing this alkalinity thing that an alkaline diet cures everything. But when you look at where the pH is, pH starts at 7. Anything below 7 is what they consider to be acidic. And they're kind of trying to change it to like 7.2. I've heard some stuff about that, but I don't know. And anything above that is alkaline. And there are very, very few foods that are alkaline. They hardly even exist. And the foods that they're having you to eat, all of these foods are acidic foods. Now, some of them are a little more toward the 7 end, but none of them ever even get really close to that. And I don't really understand. I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out what this psyop is about. And the longer I look at it, the more I see in the way they do it, and as vehement as they are about it. I mean, they're really serious about pushing this diet and this misconception. It's the misconception. They're actually pushing a good diet. Okay, when you look at the acidic fruits and vegetables that they post, that's a good diet. But it's still a misconception. And the reason they're doing that, the only thing that I can see that it relates to is one, disease, like cancer, like you're treating, and more importantly, is they're trying to take the focus off of the acidity and how important acid is to the universe. It's the number one ingredient in the universe. And it has to do with the adya minerals. I know it does, because all of these things are connected with the way Mike. You better be glad that Mike Adams is not talking about you. He was. You'd be in trouble. The way he leads the sheep.
How much trouble can I be in?
That's true.
Boy, howdy. Lost her house, lost her equipment.
Of course, talk about you, but he won't do it.
Yeah. Because
that's all of this. Because as soon as I wrote that little article about alkalinity and this psyop, or whatever it is that they're trying to do with this myth that they're,
sell the products.
I was
selling
the products. Yes, that's one of the things they're doing. I was immediately confronted in these two groups by this one particular individual. His name was Ian. I can't remember his last name. And probably within an hour, he had deleted me from both of those groups. The very next day, I was looking at some of the stuff coming down the newsfeed, and Mike Adams published an article touting this. It was a pretty long article about alkalinity in the diet and the alkaline diet the next day. So they are, and I see that happen a lot. I can literally tell what they're paying the most attention to by what comes down the newsfeed. Yeah. I also went into a marijuana psyop. I'm almost positive this was a paid internet shield that I ran across. You saw that, Randy.
Right.
You saw that. That girl was Cointelpro. I don't care what anybody said. And she was very, very good at it. She's the best I've seen.
Well, is that the one about showing that picture and said that that's what caused the that is ridiculous, because I saw that picture of melanoma, like I have not seen so many cases of melanoma. And I can tell there was something over it. That wasn't the melanoma. And then it turned out, oh, yeah, we used the black stuff, but then we used the cannabis and that healed it. It's just a bunch of malarkey. And just because you cannot see anything anymore, it doesn't mean that it's healed. Melanoma has branches. It can go under the skin, and you have a mess, and you don't know it. So it's all a farce. I don't know why they do. I guess they get paid to push that. I have no idea the reason of that. But it's all a farce. And that wasn't a melanoma. And I have picture on our website that shows obviously the melanoma and shows how it disappeared, faded away, because that was an early, it just recently occurred, so that can fade away pretty quickly. And everybody's ignoring it. Everybody's ignoring it.
There were people watching that looked at that photograph that they were passing around that had the, you know, the big gaping, gruesome.
Yeah.
I thought brown recluse when I first looked at it. That's the first thing I thought.
But no, they said it was either staph. That was the first thing, and then they said it was either staph or a spider bite. I got two opinions, and then I googled both of those to look up and see, you know, what they looked like. And it's that staph is very often mistaken for a spider bite when it's first discovered because they look so much alike.
No, I mean...
And that's what these people said that looked like to them. But
no, the picture they have, they put the salve on top of it. There was something on top of it. That is not the appearance of melanomas that occur on the skin. That is after they put... Yeah.
I saw that scab. I saw that. Was that what that was? I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. And that's what they put on. And then, of course, yeah, it chewed up the tissue. Doesn't mean that it cured cancer in any way. It chewed it up, and then they put the cannabis oil to make it heal faster. But you probably have made the cancer spread. So that's just totally ridiculous, okay? The misinformation out there is disgusting. And when you present them with the truth, then you're lying, okay?
Yes.
Present them with the facts? Oh, that's a lie.
They have herds. They have sheep herders that
yeah.
internet, and they've set up groups and they monitor and they make sure that anybody that comes along and not knows does not last long. And I'm starting to realize just how well funneled the information is. The sheep get what they get from the MS. It's well funneled. It's very tightly controlled.
Yeah,
and get around that.
It's just disgusting. And then they all think that Alex Jones is on their side, and they think that Mike Adams is. And none of those are. They're controlling the public. And then people are believing that. Let me tell you, years ago, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we went to an expo in Broken Arrow, and they had different people displaying. And there were some alternative medicine people. And this particular booth was pushing alkaline water because it's good for you. Okay, well, fine, push what you want. It's absolutely wrong. It's a lie. Well, no, that was not enough for the guy. He came to our booth and trying to make me think that if I added that to what I do to the patient, that would help. And I tried to explain that the whole thing was a farce. And you cannot help that with the alkaline. Even if you accomplish it with the alkaline water, all you're doing is reducing the acidity where the tumor is. That means nothing. All it means is maybe you won't lose as much weight than normally cancer patients do. But that's what Otto Wahlberg said. Instead, they twist and turn everything he said, after all the originals are all in German and average people are not reading them. And they say, oh, no, it's the alkaline that kills the cancer. It does not kill anything, because the cancer is like the lining of the stomach. It's acidity. It creates it grows really fast, and the acidity is there to just digest the food. It doesn't make any difference. And if you have too much acid in your stomach, can you use an antacid? Does that mean you're killing the lining of your stomach? No, you're not. You're just reducing the amount of acid, and you feel better.
Well, and the oxygen mentality goes so deep that even it crossed over into photodynamic therapy. In the articles, the bigger articles that you find online about the type of therapy that Dr. Carpenter does, involving photo enhancer and lasers, they will say that what really kills the cancer in photodynamic therapy is the creation of this singlet oxygen.
That was a complete moron who had no knowledge of science that came out with that story.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Hey, real quick, we all got to tune in to Canada Live tomorrow. John's going to have an empty chair as a guest.
Okay, come on. Now, listen. what we were doing in discussing before the break, and then we got cut off during the break, was this old fairy tales about the oxygen that kills cancer. And it's a big thing on the alternative. And the reason is because they have nothing that can solve. So they come up with these stupid stories about oxygen killing cancer. And it does not. The cancer cells are like normal cells, no different except for one thing, that the signal that tells the cell to grow never goes off. So the cell is in constant growth. Does that mean that all of a sudden it was a cell that needed oxygen to survive, it changes and now oxygen is going to kill it? Absolutely not. That is completely ridiculous. And this planet is oxygen everywhere. So if oxygen was killing cancer, cancer could not survive on this planet. That is oxygen everywhere. So it's really stupid. And any doctor that would want to admit, any surgeon that wants to admit the truth, it will tell you that while they do surgery on somebody with cancer, they open the patient up to remove a tumor, and the tumor starts growing while they are operating on it because there is more oxygen feeding it, open to the air. So, and that happens invariably. It's not a fairy tale. Oxygen does not kill cancer.
Really?
Okay? No, it doesn't.
That
It can't.
literally happens. The tumor starts
Yes.
growing when they open it
Yes.
up.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
why. That's why when patients have really large tumor, you're killing them. You cannot operate on them, and they tell you you need chemo first to shrink it because
I actually said that on that cancer Facebook group, and that may have been the thing that got me banned. I don't know.
Randy, they were going to get you. I couldn't believe that they let you stay as long as they did.
Yeah, I don't know. They were trying to appear magnanimous. Okay, they were trying to appear open-minded and generous. It's not.
They were trying to appear to.
But the cancer, in fact, and a lot of people in the medical know, some alternative use the hyperbaric chamber for cancer, which is ridiculous because hyperbaric chamber, when they tell me, oh, I went for the hyperbaric chamber, I said, why? Did you have a diving accident? Because that's why you use it, alter the pressures. And they try to fix what was damaged by having a diving accident, but they say, no, for cancer. Well, if you do that, your cancer is going to grow like crazy. And then you're really in trouble. And then that happens with alternative treatment all the time. People that go for alternative treatment, and then the tumors start growing like crazy. They spend a lot of money, and they only get worse. That's just normal. It's obvious. And as I said, two reasons. The surgery, and the other one is this planet is oxygen everywhere. If it kills cancer, yeah.
What did he do? What did he do, and how? I mean, familiarize me with him.
Oh, the guy that did the photodynamic.
Because everybody's pushing that. I mean, that's what they're using to ignore you.
Okay, well, that's ignorance. Which one is she asking?
Brzezinski.
No, Brzezinski uses a drug. Brzezinski is not involved in all of that. Well, Brzezinski did.
Him on the Facebook and the cancer forums. They're really pushing his treatments.
Yeah, and the reason Julie's bringing that up, I think, is because that day that the bannings happened, or before, I had made a post on this, like I said, really large alternative cancer group, and I had mentioned in response to someone else's comment about Brzezinski in the thread, I had put up a link to your video from last year, whenever it was, when you talked about the Brzezinski patients that have come to you, Dr. C, the things that they've told you. And they, rather than argue me on the thread, what began to happen was new articles about Brzezinski, not new, but newly posted articles about Brzezinski started appearing on the board.
You saw them too immediately. They did that as well. Whenever we
because Brzezinski is very wealthy, he charges a fortune to patients. The man is very wealthy, so he pays all sorts of trolls to push him. But he's a farce because Brzezinski developed something that is a drug. It's based on some protein that are found in the urine of people HIV positive or with AIDS. And he said that can revert cancer cell into healthy cell. Oh, please, get real. And then, of course, he was sued by the state of Texas, and he got off with the attorney, a horrible person, his attorney. And the agreement was that he could continue operating, but he had to use chemo, and he does on every patient. Now, he could use this treatment for people with brain cancer. He cannot use it for people with breast cancer. He did it for a while, and then I guess they pounced on him some more, and he doesn't. So he uses chemo, okay? But whatever Brzezinski has are drugs. I am not using any drugs, even though FDA tried to say so. We are not using drugs. What FDA is saying is it's not a drug, but once you start using it for cancer, it becomes a drug.
But I have made a lot of enemies posting links to that YouTube video of yours.
Okay, but that's fine. Brzezinski is using drugs, has always used drugs, has made a lot of money, and so he can pay trolls to say anything, okay? Right. So that's not the issue. But the issue of photodynamic therapy, like they say, photodynamic therapy is oxygen that kills cancer. That was the idiot that did for J&J the original research, and he was a complete idiot. It was an MD. Did I say more? Because what he did, and get this, he stained the cells with hematoporphyrin derivative, okay, which is a derivative of blood. It's got a burgundy color. You color the cells burgundy, and then he used the argon laser that was the only thing they had available at the time he do his research. In vitro, okay? The argon laser is green. Is absorbed by hematoporphyrin, by blood. Is absorbed by blood, and it killed the cell. And he couldn't figure out why the cells they were killed, and he had to justify that it was the hematoporphyrin presence that made the difference. And so he said, I see this oxygen floating. Gee, we are immersing oxygen, please. Of course you have oxygen, and the cell is untouched because the cell cannot process it, it's dead. So he said, it's singlet oxygen. It's not singlet. There is no such a thing as singlet oxygen. It's one molecule. But that's not singlet. And then all the stories about the singlet oxygen that people were doing research trying to find it. All sorts of nonsense. But he said, it's the oxygen that kills it, because in medicine you have to say, I think this, therefore it is. You don't have to say, have a backing theory and then prove that theory. No, I say, I think there is oxygen here, so therefore there is, and I am right. And this is what happens. Unfortunately.
Away for a minute because the sirens are going on here. We're having a really bad storm, so I'll be back.
Okay. All right. So I hope she can hear it, though. What happened is, whoops, we cannot use the argon laser in the body when we are treating a patient, because argon laser light is absorbed by healthy tissue, normally absorbed. So we cannot do that. So what we're going to do?
Well, using a red dye, that's not a whole lot of a color change.
Well, the body has, it's a blood. The blood absorbs it. He uses hematoporphyrin derivative. Is redundant because the red light does kill it. The green light will kill it, and the red light is absorbed because it's blood, and blood will absorb it. So it's redundant. But he has to justify the use of that drug. Okay? And then he wrote all this nonsense paper about it. But when he was trying to go from in vitro to in vivo, that's the problem came about. He could not use an argon laser. So what does he do? He says, well, I'm going to use another light that has a maximum of absorption for that hematoporphyrin derivative and see what range that is. That's a bunch of malarkey, because the maximum of absorption is in the argon laser range. There might be some minor absorption in other, but what he picked, it was just not at all something that will provide results. So that's why when they went from in vitro to in vivo, they had to use a really powerful laser that will burn everything, because that's the only way they could obtain the same results. That's when they say you go from in vitro to in vivo and you do not get the same effect. That's because you don't have the theory in place. You don't know what you're doing. You're throwing things like if you were throwing together a recipe. You have no scientific backing.
This is why you were shut down, Dr. Carpenter, because you say things that make sense. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but they're not that difficult science. They make sense, and people don't want to hear things that make sense. Okay? A lot of people have told me you make sense. So do we have a break coming in?
I think so. Yeah, it's about time.
All right. And actually, during the break, we were going on and talking about all these things going on, and how, beside the fact that the photodynamic therapy standard theory is nonsense, and we try to illuminate people on what's happening. But then Julia was saying how, the big problem is Mike Adams, so I'm going to let her continue on that one, because people that are seeking the truth of what is really happening, they're actually following and listening to Mark Adams. And so I want her to explain to you where he stands, and I want her to discuss with you professional trolls, what they do. Okay.
For one, everybody needs to read that note, the note that I have. I found it on an online forum, and it's sort of a person that says it's called "I was a paid internet shill," and it will tell you how they operate. And as you go and you enter into these groups and you start having discussion, the tactics become easily recognizable. And these people, like the guy that kicked me out of the 2 cancer groups this week, 2 of them at the same time. He was in both of them. And they're starting all these groups, and they've got all these internet shills out here, because the internet is where you find the truth movement. The MSM is still the same thing it always was. Nothing has changed there. The great herd still follows the MSM, and that's the way it is. But the people that are, the 20% or so of the people that have the ability to wake up, they're all over the internet. And they've got these people out there to guide them to go in the way that they want them to go, like Mike Adams. And Mike Adams is huge. When he immediately counters with an article in opposition to what I put out the day before, and I've already been wearing him out. We've caught him in so many things, lies, so much misinformation, so much disinformation.
Dr. C has caught him doing some things like the day after or the day of things that she had talked about on the radio, too.
Yes, they're watching us very, very closely. I've literally posted, some police brutality videos, and you can watch, Alex Jones, and then we'll pick it up like an hour or 2 later. And they weren't doing this sort of thing until we started catching them in these lies.
Yeah.
They were spending more time guiding the public. And, they're letting the alternative media tell them exactly what to think. Well, Mike Adams is never going to tell you what's right. Mike Adams is just a front man. It's very dark energy. People that have met him tell me he's a very big guy, and they're not good people. They're working for the wrong side, and they have very nefarious, motives. They just do. And they've got these people everywhere online, and I don't think people realize just how often they're running into them. They've had to change their tactics. What they've started doing is they've started watching us, and they're kind of starting to cover a little bit some of the legitimate stories that we come up with when they watch it, when they see it come down the news feed or see us posted. There's no way you can tell me that Mike Adams didn't know everything that was going on. I had people invading my page after that, talking, just yelling at me about saying things about Mike Adams. They're like waging a war against us. Whatever they've got to do to stop what's going on, they're going to do it. And it gets kind of spooky sometimes. It gets kind of spooky. Some of the private messages that I get from men, they've thrown every kind of man at me that you can imagine.
Yeah, and
it's so clear what's going on, everything that's happening. And they don't fool. I don't know I don't know why people can't see it.
That's my question. How come it's so obvious? How come they cannot see it? Do you know they do this? And I discussed that last year. They do exactly the same thing with stock. When they want to tear down a company, they attack and they use trolls to lie about the corporation and to destroy their stock and the stock market. And it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. And that's what I was trying to point out. But people were just not listening. And they believe all the garbage. Oh, but this guy is saying, okay, they're the same 3 guys posting everywhere and saying the same garbage. Come on.
Saying they're different people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got people that are paid to do that.
I know. And that's what I was saying. They're paid to do that. Otherwise, where would they find the time? Okay?
Exactly.
Well, we know a few
like,
that made it.
Yeah.
We know a few that had it as a full-time job for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
But you have to admit that out in the real world, when you walk out your door and you're not online and you're not talking to the people that are aware of these things, and you go out to where you live, the sheep is called the sheep. It is still the MSC that rules that world.
Oh, yeah.
It's on this forum that you have all of these activists that have just shown up, or whatever you want to call them. Operatives is what they are.
I got COINTEL operatives in my neighborhood, though, now. But that's only because of, unbelievable things that have happened.
When are you living next door to one? Because I guarantee you that Michelle Wolven was somebody else's neighbor somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are people that are just regular people. They're walking among you, and
Apparently,
they
yes, they're apparently regular people, everyday people, and they're making a living that way. And shouldn't they be ashamed of what they're doing to other people, the respectable, hardworking people, to the rest of humanity? It's disgusting to think. See, one of my patients in a complaint to FDA was saying, "What happens when you have to face the cancer thing? What are you going to do? There is no choice now."
Yeah, that's what they do. They remove your choice.
Yeah.
And they put the choice that works and leave the one that makes them money.
Oh, they are not worried about the ones that don't work because they make money. So, and they allow the alternative because in the end, the patient gets nowhere with that and has to go back to the system, and then they get killed. So they can say, see, you didn't come to me at the beginning, and that's why you're dying now.
And then they have all these people out here like Adams and all these COINTEL guiding these groups online, and they're pushing the alternative that they know doesn't work. See,
they know it doesn't work, and they're pushing it. That's disgusting, okay? It is disgusting, and as I said, they use terrible example. And anybody that wants to show, hey, that's a lie, this is what happens, oh, they are just chastised. That's what has been going on. And people can, you see, that's what I don't understand. It is so obvious. How come people cannot see it? You tell me. How come people cannot see it?
I don't know, and they get mad if you point it out.
I know. I'm sure they get mad at you, too. They get mad at us all the time. But I'm
angry. I don't care.
Yeah.
That one girl, she let me hang around on her face. She was very smooth, and she was trying to do it gracefully. And you saw that, Randy.
Right.
She should not have done that. She should have just gotten me off. Because when you leave me there and let me get my point across, I'm going to get it across.
Right.
And they are unable to do that. See, they don't have that ability. They don't have the ability to do that. They're just there to push an agenda. They are not writers. They are not thinkers. They are idiots.
They repost. That's what they do. They repost things.
They're idiots at the job. That's what they are. That's all they are. You got to put some thought into what's going on, or you're never going to do it right.
And it should be, right makes might.
You got to learn. You got to do research. I've got people that just send me all kinds of stuff, and some of that you have to feel, so you got to sift through all that too, because you got disinfo. Just invade your page and pretend to be your friend.
Get you back.
And your disinformation.
We've got a connection problem here. It looks like.
Oh, I can hear her.
It's trying to bring you back, though. The Skype connection kind of messing up on us right now. It looks like it's trying to get Dr. Carpenter back into the conversation.
I can't believe I didn't get kicked off. I've been getting kicked all week. All week,
Boy.
I haven't been able to stay on.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah. That's probably some of Mike's doing right there. Hacking the signal. But, wow. I wonder if we'll get it back.
You maybe not. You're almost at the time anyway.
We're running toward the end. God,
yeah.
A call dropped.
But Randy, I can't believe they let you stay in that group as long as they did.
It wasn't but a day or so, and after that day
you turned your back and then they deleted you.
Right. Rather than do it in my face, they waited until I went away for a day or so, then came back and I was gone.
Yeah, I told you they would get you. I knew you weren't going to make it.
My computer is rebooting. My computer is off.
Come on. The mic is live.
Okay. My computer is off.
It's fine. We're still on. Well, for another few seconds.
On here, not my computer.
Here, we're live.
Okay.
We're on the same mic now. We're on the same mic.
Right. What I am trying to say is all of a sudden I heard a bleep.
Yeah, I can hear both of
and
you.
my computer, the monitor went to sleep and my computer was off.
Oh,
not only turned off.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Yeah, it was not only knocked off Skype, but my computer is off. And I'm rebooting and restarting it. That's what happened. So you don't tell me that something funny was done in when the things I was saying. And all of a sudden, my computer was dead. That's gone off. Not just Skype, but it's just off.
We got witnesses now.
Yeah. This is what happened. It's the end. I don't know. I don't hear anything, so I don't know if the time is up.
We're pushing right on the edge here.
Okay. I just wanted everybody to know this is what happens. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't disappear. I was made to disappear. That's what happened.
I can hear music.
Okay.
And thank you, Julie Mitchell. I appreciate you coming on. I hope we didn't mess up your day. I know you had a lot of stuff to do.
I just got wet for a minute.
Thank you.
But thanks everybody in the chat room, John and Saul. Glad you stuck around.
Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah.